Next up is the Missouri Tigers. Now, they did not take a step forward in 2024 and make a college football playoff like we thought they could have, but it was still a very successful year for the Tigers with a 10-3 record. They finished number 22 in the final AP poll. It was the second straight year for Eli Drinkwitz with a double-digit win season and finishing in the top 25. They haven't had two straight years like that in a decade at Missouri. Now, they must replace many key players from last year's team. In fact, only 2 of their 10 most valuable players are back, according to our wins above average metric. But they brought in a really good transfer portal class, including a brand new quarterback that we'll talk about a little bit later as well, to help fill in some of those gaps and keep Eli Drinkwitz's program on an upward trajectory right now. But Dalton, what is the biggest strength of the Tigers right now?
I think, you mentioned that new quarterback in Beau, who was the second stringer and kind of wildcat role at Penn State the last couple of years, right? And then you look at a back that they brought in the transfer portal in Ahmad Hardy, along with a good offensive line, returning Connor Tollison, Caden Green at guard. They got Keegan Trost in the portal. This could be a team that could really run the football this year, right? In the last couple of years, they've been based in their passing game on offense. They had all the weapons. They had Luther Burden and they had Mookie Cooper and Theo Weiss and all of these guys that they had on this team at receiver, and Brady Cook slinging the ball around. Look, it's not that Beau can't throw the football, but when you have Beau Pribula as your quarterback, you're going to use those dual threat abilities. I think this is a ground game that could frustrate some teams as long as Pribula's out there making the right decisions and complementing it well with the passing game. And Hardy's a really good player that they're getting from the Sun Belt this season. So I think you have a team. Look, Kirby Moore, what I would like to see is more balance in this offense than we saw. In 2023, we saw a lot of run game, right? That's when they had Cody Schrader and really heavy play action. It was a really good play action scheme. Got away from that last year. I thought they dropped back and threw the football too much. Get back on the ground, especially with Hardy and Pribula running this ground game, and I think they'll look a lot more, at least a lot. I know they might even have less talent, but it'll look smoother on offense. You'll see better sequencing like we saw 2 years ago.
Yeah, my biggest question for Missouri right now is, will they have enough of a passing game to complement it? Because as dynamic of a runner as Beau Pribula has been at Penn State, he also only has 56 career pass attempts so far. He's still kind of inexperienced as a collegiate passer right now. Missouri also lost their only 2 receivers last year with even 400 receiving yards in Luther Burden III and Theo Weiss Jr. Now, they did add a former Mississippi State wide receiver, actually, ironically, we just talked about them, and Kevin Coleman, who was really good last year, actually, with 932 receiving yards. But it's highly unlikely he's going to be a superstar like Luther Burden III was. So a quarterback with not a lot of experience as a passer in Beau Pribula, you lose a lot from your receiving core, too. I have some questions about Missouri passing game right now.
Absolutely. I think, and that's going to be the big X factor is can Beau, and we saw in short work last year, obviously the occasional Wildcat thing, and I think that the thing that makes us feel the best about it, and it's a small sample, was remember last year Drew Aller getting hurt against Wisconsin, and Beau had to come in and play the second half, and Wisconsin's very good defense, especially in the secondary, and he threw it really well. I think he had a 90 passing grade.
Yeah, he did.
90 passing grade or PFF grade. Either way, he threw the ball really well in the second half of that game. It was actually one of the biggest moments in Penn State's season, the highest leverage moment we've seen Pribula play, more than a snap or two at a time. So I think that's what gives you hope. But when you look at Beau, again, you're trying to get the dual threat bit going, right? It's going to be read option. He's dangerous. You look at Penn State, 93 carries, 24 missed tackles forced, 19 explosive runs. Both darn good numbers, especially for a quarterback, right? He's a dangerous athlete, a dangerous runner. And what I see as a passer is somebody who wants to complement this, and this is in part because of Andy Kotelnicki at Penn State. He wants to throw it down the seams. Let's attack down the middle of the field. I think that could be a lot of fun in this offense if they can attack down the seams, especially with a guy like Marquise Johnson on the outside and all the speed that he has. But the question is going to be with this team all season, can Beau Pribula, when they need to and when they're behind in games, can he drop back and throw the football? When you take out the options and you take out the RPOs and the play action and everything else, that's going to be the big question, right? So if he can do that, this team could actually be pretty darn good, because you look across the board, maybe they don't have a whole lot of household names. Missouri's got a good amount of talent on this team, but the quarterback is the biggest question. We know he can run the ball. I think there's certain throws, especially off play action, that he can make, but he's got to do it on a consistent basis now, week in and week out.
Yeah, he's had like a 90 grade in his entire career, basically, at Penn State, so it's not like it's a quality thing for Beau Pribula on the snaps. It's more of a quantity. We just haven't seen, like I said, only 56 career pass attempts so far. So
and other than the Wisconsin game And even then, it wasn't too much because that was a low scoring, and Penn State got that pick six that turned the game around. We've just never seen Beau have to come in and just take a 5-step drop and throw the football, right? Even when he got to throw it, it was play action. Yep. It was coming off a read option. Everything was set up by Andy Kotelnicki. Now, that can be the same thing with Kirby Moore, right? Mm-hmm. But when you're playing 12 full games for a season now instead of just, 100-something snaps, it's a lot different. It's a lot different when you have to do it week in and week out. And let's say you're down 6 to Alabama late in the game and you got to drop back and do a 2-minute drill. Do you have that in you? If Beau has that in him, Missouri could actually surprise some people.
They could, absolutely. So a bit of an unknown at quarterback in Beau Pribula. What's not an unknown is that Missouri has the best left guard in college football in Caden Green. Really encouraging signs in Oklahoma in 2023 as a true freshman, and he really developed into more of a well-rounded player at Missouri as a true sophomore. One of 6 Power 4 guards this past year who had 75-plus grades both as a pass blocker and as a run blocker. Across 676 career pass blocking snaps, he has only allowed only one sack so far in his career. And like I said before, Dalton, I think he is the best left guard in the country right now.
And don't you love we have numbers at PFF here that can you're allowed to declare something like that? That's just fantastic.
There you go.
Stuff. No, it's a good offensive line.
It is. It's always a good offensive line. Connor Tollison's coming back.
Connor Tollison's. I know they're losing Membu, but Connor Tollison coming back at center is a big thing. This offensive line is still going to be pretty darn good.
Like a top 10 center in the country.
Absolutely. Absolutely he is. And you talk about wanting to run the ball, these guys are good run blockers. Yeah. So you're talking about now at Missouri, okay, it starts up front.
I love Ahmad Hardy too, man.
Absolutely.
It's another Fluff Bothwell. Dude, I fell in love with him in the group of 5 level.
That's fun. He's a fun one. I almost thought you were going to go with him, but Caden Green, obviously a worthy choice there too. I'll go on the defensive side for a guy who's wasn't in the portal, a guy who's been at Missouri for a while. Dalen Carnell, their nickel cornerback, reliable as it gets. I mean, you talk about a guy who plays a lot of roles. He's got good size, 6'2", 215, comes down and tackles, supports in the run, kind of sometimes plays that boxy kind of third linebacker role that you want from a slot corner. So a little bit bigger than a lot of nickel guys, but I think you look at this secondary too, and you look at Carnell, you look at UNLV transfer Jalen Catalon coming in, but this is the veteran of the group. He's been holding it together both last year, actually for the last 2 years, and now coming into this year. I think he plays a very important role for Missouri's defense in the slot, both in coverage and in run defense. Just a solid, fundamentally sound football player. A little bit bigger, but kind of reminds me a little of all those roles that Malachi Moore used to play at Alabama. Yeah. He kind of just does a little bit of everything, and he's a smart football player, physical player. So Carnell, as he has been the last 2 years, is a guy to watch on a pretty talented Missouri defense.
All right, bottom line time now. Will Missouri bounce back and be a college football playoff contender once again, Dawn, as they were maybe a couple of years ago? Or not really a playoff contender, but a team that really came out of nowhere. Or right now the win total is 7.5 right now. Do we think it'll be over or under that? I will say their strength of schedule is only 47th right now, which is kind of one of the easier ones in the SEC. What do we think for Missouri right now?
God, the books know what they're doing with some of these numbers. That's 7.5. It's a good number. They're really got me on the fence here. You know what? They're another team, though. I'll tell you, week 2, hosting Kansas.
It's a big game.
Big game for both teams, I think. I think a really big game that's going to tell us a lot about both teams. You want a weird scheduling thing for Missouri, too? Their first 6 games and 8 of their first 10 are at home.
Wow.
They got 8 home games this year, and their first, they don't leave.
How does that happen?
They don't leave Columbia until October 18th. They go to Auburn, and then the next week they go to Vandy. They have their first.
That's insane.
They have 8 of their first 10 games at home, so they could just sit back and go to practice every week and just kind of go with the early. I'm in between on this. I think they might sneak over that. I think I might be feeling like an 8-4, maybe even a 9-3 Missouri again. They didn't have a brutal schedule last year. They lost the 3 big games that they had, right? It was it was A&M, Bama, and there was one other big game that they lost. I can't remember at the moment. South Carolina beat them. South Carolina beat them late. That was a great game. But they lost the 3 big games, but they've been taking care of business. I think we'll find out a lot early, especially in that Kansas game and an early home game against South Carolina. A rematch of that game is going to be fun, but I'm going to take it. I think they might sneak over that, maybe give you an 8-4 Missouri team. I'll go. Are we starting Beau leave? Did they already do that, you think?
No, they haven't started. I don't think
Okay,
they've
all
started
right,
yet.
sorry. All right, should I patent it before we
Yeah.
get to the season?
Oh,
All
yeah,
right,
go
all right.
ahead.
In Colombia, that's what they do. They bow leave. I'm sure Oregon did that a couple years ago, but
I'll go over too. I think they're going to be a tough out. That scheduling is crazy. I did not know that. That's a good call by you.
8 of their first 10 at home, and then they end at Oklahoma and at Arkansas. It's not the worst schedule we've seen.
Honestly,
today.
like the only game is like they'll definitely lose, or they should lose. That is the Alabama game. I would say. Everything else is like I could see them winning. And now, of course, I don't think they're going to go 11-1. I think they'll probably go 8-4. But I think there's a lot of winnable games on the schedule right now. So I'm going to go over 2, man. I like what Missouri's got. I think especially that run game. That run game can be dynamic next year.
Well,
that O-line, Beau, Pribula, Ahmad Hardy. I love that Missouri run.
But I'll tell you too. And when we're just over halfway through this, I feel like we're going through more and more teams where we go, well, if the quarterback,
exactly,
right,
yeah.
like even the big ones like Georgia and Texas we're getting to, and some of these others where the next one we're getting to is certainly another one where
Alabama too, yeah.
But Alabama, you just go, well, if the quarterback's good, then you never know what could happen. I think Missouri, otherwise, they have a lot of talent on that team. They're good.
I mean, looking through it right now, the only like proven guys we talked about so far is like Garrett Nussmeier, Taylon Greenish. Like, I mean, that's really it. Everyone else is like
Sellers. I mean, obviously Sellers had a good year.
You're hoping, like, exactly.
I mean, there's a lot of quarterback questions, which makes these are going to make these over-unders going back.
Oh, we're going to look horrible. We're going to look so bad a year from now. But, yeah, I'll go over 2 for Missouri. I like what they got. I think 7.5 is a little bit low for what the talent they have in that roster right now. They should make a bowl game pretty easily and be a tough out in the SEC.